مرحبا، أنا اسمي زهران ممداني وعم رشح حالي ليكون العمدة الجديد في مدينة نيويورك. بعرف شو عم تفكروا، شكلي كأني صهركم من الشام، بس العربي تبعي بده شوية شغل. مع هيك أنا حابب اليوم أطلب دعمكم يوم 4 نوفمبر. العيشة بنيويورك صارت غالية للكل. ازيك يا باشا؟ كل شيء تمام؟ وصار صعب نعيش فيها ونربي أولاد. أنا كعمدة رح جمد الإيجارات لأكثر من 2,000,000 شخص وخلي الباصات سريعة ومجانا وأضمن رعاية الأطفال شاملة لكل العائلات.
Mugamba mtia abana beka. Waafrika wenzangu, sisi ni wahamiaji hapa New York City. Zohran Mamdani amesema atatupa ulinzi, atasimama nasi, na sisi tusimame naye. Pamoja tutaweza.
Mamdani Africa, Mamdani New York, kufto muzabi Zohran.
Zohran Mamdani, xeexalna jaaykatu yi jaay nit yi jaay ci mbedd yi, xeexalna tamit dawalkatu taxi yi.
One of the reasons I moved here is because I wanted to be surrounded by people who are not like me. I wanted to hear 7 different languages every day when I walk down the street. And I'll speak for myself personally. I hope that our next mayor will be somebody who can protect our way of life here in New York and protect and fight for the things that we want and stand up to those who want to take things away from us, those who want to defund us.
And their number one issue is whether or not I eat biryani with my hands.
Yeah.
It shows you the disconnect. And also the fact that everybody eats with their hands, whether you're eating chicken wings or burgers or pizza or biryani or whatever it is. But the thing that's been I would say kind of like a silver lining of it is I was in Jackson Heights not too long ago. I was in Diversity Plaza. I'm walking across the plaza and there's a man who's driving his car and I can see his car starts to jerk because he's trying to put it in park and get out at the same time to talk to me. But he finally gets it and he says, I also eat with my hands. And I was like, that's great, Habibi, that's great. Many of us do. And he was like, let's take a photo. I was like, amazing.
Literally, because
we'll do it.
News flash to the Western world, literally the entire global South eats with their hands. The majority of the world eats that way.
Boy. So we got to talk about a bombshell poll from the most accurate pollster of 2024, Atlas Intel, basically showing that Democrats are going to have some issues sweeping the elections that are coming up next week. Because as I've explained to you guys before, in order for Democrats to come away feeling good about next week's election, considering the current state of their party is on life support and is about to be taken over by communists, they're going to need to sweep, okay? They're going to need to essentially win all of these major races, the race for New Jersey governor, the race for Virginia governor, Virginia attorney general, and we have the mayor of New York City, along with the Prop 50 ballot initiative that is going on out in California for Democrats to rig their elections in the state of California. Democrats gonna have to perform well across the board in order to walk away feeling really good about this election. And you know that they're probably feeling the heat because they rolled out the big guns, right? They have Obama out on the campaign trail campaigning on behalf of Mikey Sherrill, who, as you can see here, is struggling, right? Struggling with the Republican candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, who's essentially now tied the race, okay? He has all the momentum, and it looks like he's poised to take the lead going into Election Day because, again, the race is virtually tied at this point. And you know this because Obama is boo-hoo-whining crying racism and melting down over memes from President Trump.
They put on a big show of deporting people and targeting transgender folks. They never miss a chance to scapegoat minorities and blame DEI for every problem under the sun. You got a flat tire? Must be DEI. Your wife kicked you out? DEI. Who knew? But what they haven't done is help you. They haven't put forward serious proposals to lower housing costs or make groceries more affordable. They haven't improved our schools or made health care more accessible or shortened your commute or prepared young people for a future where AI might take their jobs. All all the nonsense that we see on the news every day, the over-the-top rhetoric, the fabricated conspiracies, the weird videos of a U.S. president with a crown on his head flying a fighter jet and dumping poop on American citizens.
Yeah, again, when they bring Obama out, when they roll out Obama, just understand that they're desperate to win, okay? That there is some issues that Democrats are currently facing when they roll out Obama. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the bombshell poll that came out from Atlas Intel involving the New York City's mayor's race, okay? Zohran Mamdani, the socialist, who really, I mean, he is a Democrat, right? But at the same time, he's kind of not a Democrat, but he is a Democrat. Yeah, he's showing some signs of desperation as well, too, because this poll now shows Mamdani's campaign is imploding because Cuomo is within striking distance of taking a lead against Mamdani. Again, according to the most accurate pollster of 2024, he's within 6 points, which may seem like a lot, but not when you consider the fact that Mamdani was leading by 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 points in other polls, right, that are less accurate than this poll. The fact that Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa are doing a lot better in this poll compared to last poll, and the fact that Mamdani can't get anywhere close to 50% of the vote really represents a big issue for Democrats, even if Mamdani wins his race.
Jonathan, great to be with you. Well, these candidates are definitely locked in a high-stakes push to sway voters during their final days on the campaign trail. Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani is delivering some of his final pitches on affordability. This week, the 34-year-old New York State Assemblyman joined seniors for Tai Chi, telling New Yorkers that the city's prices are too high, buses too slow, and childcare too expensive. But he said the cost crisis is also impacting senior citizens.
Sometimes I've been frustrated by the way in which people think cost of living is a young person's issue. Right. Because what I've actually found time and again is that cost of living is affecting every single New Yorker, no matter their age.
While Mamdani's message on affordability has seemed to help him remain the front runner in most polls, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, running as an independent, predicts historic voter turnout will help him flip the race. So he's gotten a wave of late endorsements from figures like Michael Bloomberg and former Governor David Paterson. Cuomo is warning voters that Mamdani is untested and that the stakes are too high.
He is a socialist, and socialism will not work in New York City. New York City has no future as a socialist city. Socialism hasn't worked anywhere on the globe.
Meanwhile, Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa is vowing to stay in the race, telling Fox this week, quote, "The billionaires, the influencers, the insiders have been wrong every step of the way." And he added that the race is going to come down to one person, one vote. Jonathan, there have been 7 days of early voting so far here in the Big Apple, and already nearly 500,000 ballots have been cast, according to the New York City Board of Elections. And get this, that total surpasses the 384,000 ballots cast during the June Democratic primary. So it appears people are very eager to have their voice heard with this election.
Yeah, so again, the consistent polls showing Zohran Mamdani unable to get more than 50% of the vote, I think really shows you that free stuff only really gets you so far. I mean, it gets you pretty far with dumbasses, to be honest with you. Yes, that is true.
Who are you voting for mayor?
I am voting Mamdani.
And why?
Because he's the most obvious choice.
What makes him an obvious choice for you?
It's just like, I'm trying to think. This reminds me of a certain comedy sketch where the comedian was like, we could either vote in one guy and he's gonna give everybody free houses, free rent, and he's gonna give everybody a Lamborghini, or we could vote in somebody who's gonna burn down the city. That's why I'm voting Mamdani, because I'm voting for the guy who give me the Lamborghini.
Yeah, so you think Mamdani's like just gonna give you guys everything?
Not everything. I'm saying it's the most obvious choice.
What do you think is going to happen with government-run grocery stores and free buses? Do you think that sounds like a good idea?
That does sound like a good idea.
And freezing the rent?
That does sound like a good idea.
What if they have to freeze the rent to the point where eventually then the landlord's not able to come in and fix the washer and make a profit on his own lease?
That's their problem.
Yeah, so smart people and people with common sense realize and understand that even if Zohran Mamdani was allowed to do all the things he's trying to do, like, for example, freezing the rent, that's not going to solve the problems of New Yorkers, right? That's not going to help with, quote unquote, affordability, because freezing the rent does not lead to rent prices going down. It actually leads to rent prices going up. But again, socialists don't seem to understand this at all, okay? And also on top of that, if Zohran was allowed to, quote unquote, tax the rich as well too, then there would be a mass exodus from the city, okay? But the reality is that Zohran probably is not going to be allowed to do all the things that he's trying to do. And Hochul, the governor of New York, the Democrat who did endorse Zohran Mamdani, she actually came out and confirmed that, yeah, all that tax the rich stuff, it sounds great, and I endorsed it, right, with the socialists at the Freak Show rally. But the reality is that he's probably not going to be able to do all the things that he claims that he's going to do.
We know that Mamdani does want to tax the rich more, bring it up about 2%. He can't do that on his own. You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered that stance?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions, I assure you. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says, but I'm also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up, it's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about outmigration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget. I cannot make up for that with middle-class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers. So this is the balance. I mean, this is my position.
Yeah, so that's Hochul essentially admitting that Zohran Mamdani and all of his socialist ideas, right, tax the rich in order to fund free stuff for everybody, probably not gonna happen, right? And the reality here is that New York is probably gonna end up with a guy with a lot of big ideas that are really bad ideas if they were actually implemented, but a lot of them aren't gonna be implemented. And then on top of that, there's probably gonna be a lot of mismanagement because the dude has never run anything close to a big city like New York, okay? He has a bunch of other socialist extremists, right, in his circle, okay, that are also going to be governing New York City. And I think there's going to be an absolute disaster. And I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing these polls, again, from the most accurate pollster of 2024, showing that Zohran Mamdani's lead is closing, that Cuomo is gaining some momentum, because I think that people are probably realizing that, hey, if we let this guy win, if he did get his way, it would be a disaster. But even if he doesn't get his way, because of the fact that, again, this dude has never ran anything, he's never done anything, it's probably going to be a disaster just due to the fact that he has no experience whatsoever, okay? And he is not somebody we should be allowing to run one of the biggest cities in the country, okay? So with that being said, the problem with Democrats is that Mamdani has all the energy with the far left lunatics. And you know this because Obama has now bent the knee because he apparently called up Zohran Mamdani and told Zohran that he's impressive and that he wants to mentor Zohran Mamdani, right? So now you have Obama bending the knee to a socialist, right? That apparently is what's happening within the Democrat Party, as this dude can barely get 40% of the vote in New York City, okay? Again, this is a big deal, and I'm going to explain a little bit more, but let's read here. Former President Barack Obama praised Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist, who is the odds-on favorite to become the next mayor of New York City, for running an impressive campaign during a 30-minute phone call on Saturday, according to the New York Times. The ex-president also offered to be a, quote-unquote, sounding board to Mamdani if he wins the election on November 4th. The 34-year-old Mamdani and Obama, quote, discussed preliminary plans to meet in person at some point in Washington, though no meeting date has been set. Obama, the report noted, did not officially endorse Mamdani, which continued his general practice of not endorsing municipal candidates, but the former commander-in-chief's praise and offered to share advice in the future is notable, obviously, considering he is the most high-profile Democrat to support Mamdani. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. You have Obama on board, AOC's on board, Kamala Harris is on board, Bernie Sanders is on board. You also have the current Democrat leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. He's on board. But mysteriously, you do not have Chuck Schumer on board, right? Chuck Schumer has gone missing when it comes to Mamdani. He is refusing to endorse Mamdani or to really say much at all about Zohran Mamdani. And that is what this CNN anchor is confronting Hakeem Jeffries about, because even CNN can see the fact that there's a full-blown Democrat Party civil war. And it's not looking good for Democrats if Zohran Mamdani cannot perform better in this mayor's race. Because, again, if he wins, that is going to send a bad signal to Democrats that, hey, we need to endorse people like Zohran Mamdani. But it seems like he has a very, very, very niche appeal that is not going to play well for Democrats outside of a place like New York City. So let's get into it.
Turning now to the mayoral race underway in your city right now. Early voting in New York City has been underway this week. Have you voted in the mayoral race yet?
I have.
Can you share who you voted for?
Well, I issued a statement endorsing the Democratic nominee a little over a week ago. So, of course, that's exactly who I voted for.
Yeah, and I wonder if you spoke with your colleague, Senator Chuck Schumer, about your decision to back Zohran Mamdani.
I have not.
Why?
Well, Chuck Schumer makes his decisions. I make my decisions. I let him know the direction that I was heading in, and that was the extent of the conversation.
Well, it just seems like this race in New York City for mayor is a microcosm of a battle within the Democratic Party between what's seen as the old guard and the new guard, and there are clearly some apprehensions about endorsing or even voting for someone like Zohran Mamdani, even publicly voicing support for him. I wonder if you told Senator Schumer that you would back him, what he said in response, if you could share some of his perspective.
Well, a private conversation is a private conversation between Leader Schumer and myself, as would be the case relative to any other member of Congress. But I certainly informed him in advance of my decision, as he often does with me. And, of course, we speak often. We're focused, I think, the two of us, and he's done a tremendous job right now, and so have Senate Democrats, in standing up for the health care of the American people, pushing back against these extreme cuts, and doing everything we can to reopen the government and to enact a spending agreement that actually drives down the high cost of living in an environment where Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down, they're going up. Inflation through the roof, housing costs up, child care costs up, grocery costs up, of course, electricity bills skyrocketing.
One final question, Leader, just on that point that's been made, including by former Governor Andrew Cuomo, current candidate in the mayoral race, that this is a quiet civil war going on in the Democratic Party. Do you see it that way, that this mayoral race is an indicator of where the party stands, perhaps where it's headed?
I mean, I don't think it's a quiet civil war. That's a hyper-aggressive statement from, a candidate on the campaign trail who obviously is trying to appeal to a wide variety of people outside of the Democratic Party. I think we're focused on the fact that we've got a responsibility both to push back against the extremism that has been unleashed on the American people.
All right. So, again, Hakeem here is, going back to the same old talking points, not answering the questions, right? But I just want you guys to understand here, okay? As, again, Hakeem doesn't answer the real question about the Democrat Party civil war. There certainly is a civil war, right? And I think that Cuomo is onto something when he says that the Democrat Party is going to get destroyed if they allow themselves to be taken over by socialists, because ultimately at the end of the day, the socialists want to get rid of people like Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, etc., right? Obama, right? Like, come on. Like, Obama's like, yo, I'm going to call you up if you win. Which, again, to me, suggests that Democrats have decided that, hey, we're going to get in bed with this, right? We're going to lean into being the party of socialism. Now, again, this is a big problem. It's a big issue because, as Andrew Cuomo correctly laid out, if Democrats allow themselves to be taken over by socialists, the socialists are going to destroy the Democrat Party, right? The Democrat Party, as we know it, is not going to exist. And that's the thing about these Democrats, is that it looks like the way these polls are shaping up, that they're headed for the worst case scenario. Not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario would be for them to like lose all these races, but we know that's not going to happen. But it's still going to be pretty bad, right? We're talking about the worst realistic case scenario happening here, in which you have the Republican taking New Jersey, which could happen, right? That's the big one. That's the huge one. It looks like at this point, Spanberger probably is going to win Virginia, the governor's race, okay? But we will see what happens there. The attorney general's race in Virginia, it looks like the Republican is going to take that. But again, this New York City mayor's race, right? If you have a Republican win out in New Jersey, okay? And then in New York City, if you have Zohran Mamdani win by a small margin, let's say he only gets 40% of the vote, that would actually be a really, really, really bad scenario for Democrats. And let me tell you why. Well, the reason why is because, one, they would have lost a state like New Jersey, okay? A traditionally blue state would now have a Republican governor, which would be, again, a bad sign for Democrats that they couldn't win that race, especially considering how the Democrat was in the lead the whole time and she basically lost the lead at the last minute. But more importantly, when it comes to New York City mayor's race, if Democrats have decided that, we're going to embrace socialists like Zohran Mamdani, who can only get 40% of the vote in New York City, right? I mean, this dude cannot get more than 50%. If he can't even get 50% of the vote in New York City, and Democrats get in bed with this guy, that means that Democrats are basically signing up to lose general elections, right? And I think that what you're seeing in New Jersey could actually have something to do with that. I mean, New Jersey and New York are neighboring states, very similar to a certain extent in regards to demographics. The Republican being competitive in this race and winning, while the socialists can't even crack 50% of the vote in New York City. Again, this guy right now is barely cracking 40% in the Atlas poll. And Democrats decided, we want to be the party of socialists. The more Democrats come out and endorse Mamdani, which has been recent, they've recently just come out and just flat out embraced Mamdani. You're seeing Mikey Sherrill's lead in New Jersey decline, right? You're seeing it shrink the more that Democrats openly endorse and embrace people like Mamdani. Again, so that's the crazy part about it. You're also seeing this in Virginia as well, too, in the attorney general's race, where you have Mayoral. I mean, he's just out like taking a lead over Jay Jones, who got caught sending text messages fantasizing about killing Republicans. So again, an extremist. So I think you have some strong signs here that Democrats leaning into extremism, socialism, far leftism is hurting them already. Again, we already went over the bombshell poll that came out featuring Elise Stefanik, who is likely going to run for governor against Hochul. And right now, the Republican is beating Hochul, right? The Democrat, right? In New York. And part of the reason why is because of her endorsement of Zohran Mamdani. So again, all signs are pointing to this idea that Zohran winning could actually be great for Republicans, because Democrats have decided that they're going to embrace this guy, that he's going to be their leader. He's going to be the face of the party. And anybody associated with him or left-wing extremism, they're not doing well in general elections. They're not performing well. Again, Mikey Sherrill is losing her lead, okay? And she has failed to distance herself from Zohran Mamdani.
Will you support Mamdani in the general election?
If he's the Democratic candidate, which it sounds like he is, I assume I will. But I actually haven't focused as much on the New York primary because I've been so focused on my own primary. And if he's going to, if he's going to be working to deliver efficient government and drive down costs, that's something very interesting to me. I'm not sure the voters of New York are very interested in who the election, the candidate here in New Jersey is focused on. I'm focused on my race.
Mikey or Mamdani? How much of a choice do you think it really is?
Well, I know what New Jerseyans think because I've been, as I said, talking to thousands of them, ran in a 6-way primary, really successful campaign there. We had the largest turnout for any primary the state of New Jersey has run. The momentum on the ground for this race is looking really great so far with the vote by mails and the early voting. So we've got, I think, 4 days today. So we'll continue going on our 21 county bus tour to get out every single vote. New Jerseyans want competence. They want somebody who is going to attack prices, someone who's listening to their concerns. That's how I've always run campaigns. And to me, centering a campaign in what you are hearing on the ground, cutting out the noise sometimes from what's going on online or elsewhere, but really centering on the very people that you want to serve is incredibly important and I think incredibly successful. And that's what I'll continue to focus on as I'm.
Yeah. So again, my gut feeling is that you're already starting to see how this does not play well in general elections, what Democrats are leaning into. And we're going to see on election day. Again, don't get caught off guard by the headlines, oh, Democrats won Virginia, or, Zohran won in New York City. You got to really pay attention to how close these races are because Democrats are expected to win all the races and also on top of that, to win the races by decent margins. If these races are really close or if you have some Republicans, getting some upsets here and there, again, mainly in New Jersey, and Zohran does not do as well as previous polls have suggested that he will do in this general election, that's going to be a bad sign for Democrats who, again, are leaning into an extremism that I really don't think appeals to general election voters. So, again, we're going to see. I'm just very fascinated to see the results coming up next week. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.